today, and now you feel fat today also. You're welcome. And now there's a podcast.
Welcome to I Feel Fat Today, the show where we dispel diet myths, see what's new in diet culture, and investigate your relationship with food. I'm your host, Kelly Taylor, and today we are talking about New York Fashion Week. But first, subscribe to us on YouTube for full video episodes like the very one you're watching right now. Follow us on Apple Podcasts and leave a 5-star review. Find us and follow us on Spotify. Follow the show on Instagram at I Feel Fat Today, where we post clips of the show, let you know when new episodes are posted every Friday for the most part. Follow me, your host, Kelly Taylor, on Instagram at hello, this is Kelly, and come back every week for a new episode where we interview your favorite comedian about their relationship with self and body. Today is not one of those episodes because today is a very wonderful solo episode. That's right. Coming at you with a little solo ep. Who needs a guest? We don't need a guest. It's just you and I. It was either this or no episode at all. So this is what we're doing. And yeah, we'll get into it. I don't think it's going to be a long one per se, but I say that and it turns out I talk a lot. But the difference is that I actually am in a lot of pain right now. I'm in a bit of pain. Why am I in such pain? So where is my pain? My pain is behind my neck, sort of like under my shoulder blade and through my left side. And like almost like the back of my left arm, it doesn't feel great. And I woke up this morning and I got a workout in, humble brag. And so I felt a little bit sore this morning. And I noticed that there were sections of the workout where I always struggle with the push-up section. I like quite literally never do the push-ups. It's very, very pathetic what I do, even being as far into working out as I am, coming up on like a full year of being consistent. Whatever. Ow, even just shaking my head like that really hurt my neck. I did the workout class, and then at some point today, I guess I just went from literally sitting at this desk, being in this position for a few hours where I got up to go do something, and I was like, holy caroli, like, this is beyond feeling like I slept on this wrong. This is just full on. Something is amiss. So I took a Tylenol. Hopefully I don't get autism. No, that's the new thing. Tylenol. If you're pregnant and you take Tylenol, it could make your kid autistic, which is shameful, harmful, misinformation. Not going to talk about it right now. Maybe I'll talk about it on a future show. I'm not going to get into it because I don't have my stuff together to talk about that. But yeah, even the Tylenol that I took really isn't helping. So I'm going to finish recording this and I don't know, just I guess lay down because what else can I do? If you have any tips for helping with something like this, let a girl know. That reminds me, I have a funny Tylenol story from just this past week. So I posted about this on my TikTok. You can follow me there. Right now the handle is Modern Goth Girl, but I think I should change that because why is that the handle? I'll change it to Hello, This is Kelly. But regardless, you can head over to my TikTok where I've chronicled this. Last week, I was going into an extremely busy week at work. Not busy for comedy. Let that be very clear. Well, I guess busy in a sense of having to do podcast stuff. But regardless, my actual day job was going to be very busy. So I, was going into the office on Tuesday. I made sure I got a good night's sleep last night. Hold please. Sorry, I have a little doggy staying over here, and she keeps barking, and I don't really want to edit this out. Thank you. Okay. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so Tylenol story. So last week I went into the office on Tuesday. I got a good night's sleep the night before, and I told myself, we're going to get a good night's sleep, you're going to be caffeinated, and you're going to focus because you have so much work to catch up on. So and I also had my period that week. So I knew I was like, it was a Sisyphusian task of getting this boulder up the hill to get through the very busy week. So right before I'm about to leave the house, I thought I was grabbing what was a container of Midol, Walgreens brand, of course. So I could take that to get some relief, as well as the boost from the caffeine. And I was going to be well on my way to maybe grab a Dunkin' so that I would be cruising and for the whole day. As I pop the pill, I look at the label and I realize, as the pill was sliding down my throat, that I had just ingested at 8:30 in the morning on Tuesday a Tylenol PM. Are you kidding me? A Tylenol PM on Tuesday morning, going into an extremely busy week. And people say that Tylenol PM doesn't really do it for them. If I take a Tylenol PM, I am out. Like, if I'm going to take one, I try to take it around 9 o'clock, 9:30, no later than 10 p.m. because then I will feel like I have been drugged trying to get up early in the morning to get ready for my day. But I looked at that and I realized I fucked up. And it was to the point of no return. I tried stopping it from sliding down my throat. Not worth it. Didn't do anything good. Just, if anything, hurt my throat. And I just resigned myself to the fact that I was just going to have to go through my day fighting this Tylenol PM. And it was a weird day. I don't know. If you've ever accidentally taken a Tylenol PM in the morning when you have needed to be up, let me know, because it was hard. What's that pseudo effect? Not pseudo effect, placebo effect. Immediately, it's like I just have taken a horse tranquilizer, right? So I get to Manhattan and I just immediately am like, okay, I'm just going to have to fill myself with caffeine. Forgot to mention, upon realizing I took the one Tylenol PM, immediately down 2 Midol to try to combat it, right? So I am just teeming with acetaminophen and a weird combination of whatever makes you tired in Tylenol PM and the caffeine in a Midol. Went to Starbucks, immediately got a quad. I was like, give me 4 shots of espresso. Fuck me up, fam. I ordered it hot. It came iced. I don't know why drinking hot coffee makes me feel like it does a better job, but whatever. Shouldn't even be shopping at Starbucks. So I took my coffee and I shut my mouth and I left, because I'm not going to bother a non-binary barista with my problems. I appreciate their work. And then at a certain point, at 1 o'clock-ish, I went down and I got another quad that was made incorrectly. Made incorrectly is totally fine. But I had so much caffeine between the 2 Midol and the 8 shots of espresso. I was just buzzing. So then that, in turn, turned into me trying to fall asleep at night. I've described this before, but when I was at work, I literally felt like I had all these thoughts racing and I had so many client calls. So I was on the phone, had to be knowing what I was talking about, all while I was slurring my speech. And so I just felt like I was short circuiting all day. I that movie, what was that Tyra Banks movie, Real Life or Real Size, where she plays the Barbie that turns into a model. She plays the real life model. Tyra Banks movie, Life Size. Yeah, Life Size. Oh, I love that movie. I felt like I was like going in and out of like being like a human doll and then back to like a regular doll throughout the whole day. I was like short circuiting, all to lay in bed at night and just not be able to sleep. It was awful. I've done harder drugs where I've been able to fall asleep after, not Tylenol PM and a whole lot, like a enough caffeine to like take down an elephant. I literally was in such a weird limbo. Yeah, so that happened. All right, spent a good 10 minutes talking about that. Sorry for that tangent. There was something else. Oh, the other thing. So I have downloaded a sleep app to try to track my sleep because I don't feel like I'm getting any good sleep these days. And I want to get an Oura Ring, but outside of them being so expensive, apparently they're giving all of our information to Palantir. What's that about? So I have nothing right now that's tracking my sleep other than the fact that I feel like I don't feel well rested. I feel like I'm not getting any sleep. So I managed somehow to get like through this thing a free subscription to an app I would have had to have otherwise paid for to track my sleep. And all I'm doing is putting my phone on my nightstand and that's apparently supposed to detect how long it takes me to fall asleep and how deep my sleep is. No, there's no way, but whatever. The reason why I'm using it is because it records you out throughout the night. And at first I wanted to record myself sleeping because I'm like, what if I like get a ghost on the recorder, right? Hasn't happened yet, but oh my God, if I do, that would be crazy. I still wouldn't move. I love this apartment too much. Anyways, the sleep app, all it records is freaking Joe Gorman snoring and coughing throughout the whole night. So I think I figured out why I'm not getting a good night's sleep is because the man that I have to share my bed with, our bed with, is just keeping me up. And he's just happy in his little sleep apnea land. As for me, I do pop up on the sleep app device with maybe a dainty cough or two. Okay, it's a little dry in here. My throat gets a little dry. But moreover, I am talking. I am just yapping all night. And do you want to know what I'm doing in my sweet dreams when I sleep at night that my sleep app has recorded me doing? I am apologizing. I have recordings of me dreaming and apologizing. I'm just going, I'm sorry. No, so sorry. Why can't a girl catch a break? God, this back pain is really keeping me grounded because I would be a lot more expressive right now if it wasn't like completely taking the wind out of me. So that's what's new with me and my trials and tribulations with Tylenol making me autistic. Okay, anyways, this episode is gonna be all about Fashion Week. So this we're coming to you following Fashion Week here in New York. Well, hopefully you're getting this episode on Friday if the Rapture hadn't happened earlier this week, because apparently we have that to look forward to. It's like my, 20th Rapture in my lifetime. So hopefully this one goes well. Anyway, so last week in New York was Fashion Week, where designers featured their looks for spring, summer 26, right? Yeah, that's how that works. I was a fashion major in college. And I normally, when Fashion Week rolls around, my algorithm will adjust accordingly, and I'll, have some shows pop up on my page, and they're usually of the size inclusive variety. And I noticed that really wasn't happening. There was no Remy Bader, walking in a Victoria's Secret fashion show. There was nothing. There really nothing of the plus size fashion variety populating on my feed, which I found was curious. So I did some very mild research into the topic, and I came across some opinions on the subject. And then I also found a really cool runway show from this latest New York Fashion Week that I wanted to highlight. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then we'll be on our merry way. Okay, so I pulled an article from what I believe is a blog called The Curvy Fashionista. It's linked in the description if you want to check this out. But this is by Marie Denis, and it's titled "Why Representation of Bigger Bodies Still Feels Revolutionary." Okay, so post New York Fashion Week, the message couldn't be more clear. The industry still doesn't know what to do with bigger bodies. For all the panels, pledges, and campaigns, plus-size representation remains painfully rare in the places that matter most. We've been marching, hashtags blazing, TikTok trending, and yet the runways still act like inclusion is a trend, not a given. Why does seeing a bigger body in high fashion still feel like a revolutionary moment instead of a regular occurrence? Fashion Week, when the math doesn't math. The Spring-Summer 25 runways featured the Spring-Summer 2025 runway featured 8,763 looks across 208 shows in New York, London, Milan, and Paris. Out of all that fashion, just 0.8 were plus size. So that's size US 14 plus. Only 4.3 were mid size, so that's US 6 to 12, and the rest 94.9% were straight size US 0 to 4. So this is saying that for the spring summer runways featured for 2025 across around 7,000 models or looks that walked across the 208 shows spanning the 4 cities, Paris, London, Milan, and Paris. Only 0.8 were plus size, 14 plus, which I would be interested to see. I when I actually initially read this, I thought that these numbers were just referencing New York. I would be curious to see what the plus size inclusion was for just the New York shows, because London, maybe you would get some inclusive fashion, but Milan and Paris, absolutely not. So that also probably contributes to the fact why only 0.8 were plus size. Okay, so this isn't just a slow crawl towards inclusion, it's a backslide. During spring summer 2020, we saw 86 plus size models walk major runways. It was a breakthrough moment, but by 2025, we're back to the shadows. And that is something that I realized, like, from this fashion week. It definitely felt like there were way less plus size models being included here. And you would think, just with the way of, trends and body inclusion, body neutrality, you would see more and more representation for the years to come, and not less. Fashion gatekeepers are telling us exactly who they value, and spoiler, it's not us. Here's the kicker. The plus size fashion market is booming. It's valued at a almost $120 billion in 2024 and expected to grow to $202.4 billion by 2034. Women account for nearly half of that market, and we're not talking about passive shoppers. This growth has been driven by bold, vocal, and empowered consumers demanding style that reflects them. And still, the biggest stages in fashion act like those dollars don't exist. It's the wildest contradiction. Fashion says it wants innovation, influence, and impact, but ignores the literal billions being generated by the plus-size representation it refuses to normalize. If you're waiting for the industry to catch up, don't hold your breath. The real representation, it's happening online. On Instagram, TikTok, and Threads, plus-size influencers are rewriting the rules. They're building loyal communities, launching collections, selling out product drops, and showing the beauty of bigger bodies in every scroll-worthy fit check. Take Ashley Graham. With over 20 million Instagram followers, she's not just a model, she's a media force. And she's far from alone. Across platforms, creators are proving that plus-size representation isn't niche, it's necessary. And guess what? It's not the perfectly retouched magazine spreads that move the needle. It's authenticity, it's visibility, it's people in real bodies making the real impact. Representation is also about mental health too. Studies show that over 50% of the US, UK, Australia, France, and Germany report experiencing weight stigma. That stigma contributes to anxiety, disordered eating, depression, and low self-worth. But body positivity and size-inclusive content, it helps, it protects, it offers community and coping. Young adults, especially young women, don't follow body positive creators because they already feel great. They follow them because they're trying to feel okay in a world that constantly tells them they shouldn't. A shift towards body neutrality. Still, let's be real, body positivity has its critiques, especially on TikTok, where the conversation is shifting towards body neutrality. While some content tagged as body positive still centers aesthetic validation, body neutrality says you don't have to love your body to respect it. You don't have to perform confidence to deserve clothing that fits. It's subtler, but powerful. Evolution, especially for those navigating multiple layers of stigma or exhaustion. Let's talk intersectionality. It's not just about size. It's about who gets seen within size inclusion. Because let's be honest, not all bigger bodies are celebrated equally. A size 16 white model with an hourglass figure gets booked far more than a size 22 black woman with natural hair. That's not an accident. It's intersectionality in action. I just realized I'm kind of reading this like Tucker Carlson, so forgive me. I think it's my back pain. Coined by legal scholar Kimberly Crenshaw, intersectionality is about understanding how race, gender, sexuality, ability, and body size overlap to shape visibility and opportunity. Representation that ignores those intersections just reinforces the same power dynamics it claims to change. Brands like Universal Standard, ASOS, H&M, Target, and Savage X Fenty are expanding their size ranges and putting their marketing dollars behind diverse casting. Is it perfect? Not even close, but it's a sign. Some agencies are opening plus divisions. Some fashion schools are teaching inclusive design. Curve models are finally getting contracts that last longer than a season. It's happening, but slowly, and we need more sustained commitment, not seasonal stunts. When someone in a bigger body steps onto the runway, it stops us in our tracks and tells you everything. It's still revolutionary because it's still rare, because it's still met with resistance, with trolling, and with corporate backpedaling. When inclusion is treated like a trend, it's always felt like a fight. And that's the difference in 2025. But here's what's different in 2025. We're no longer asking for permission to be seen. We're building platforms, creating content, launching brands, and making money that proves that this isn't about being included. It's about taking up space on our own terms. So, ready to turn revolution into reality? Here's where to start. This is saying something that I, have always kind of seen as a bad thing. This article is saying to demand more I read this wrong. Demand more than tokenism. I thought it was saying demand more tokenism, which is like, isn't that bad? No, demand more than tokenism. Look at the full pictures. Are brands walking the walk across sizing, fit castings, and campaign storytelling? Which I think talking about the tokenism thing and how it's bad, it's like you can totally tell when a brand is like trying to jump on like a plus size or body positive trend by having like a few, 1, 2, I don't know, plus size models in their show, and they just like literally made the clothing that they've made for a straight size person in a bigger size. They don't often know what they're doing, so it doesn't look very good on that model. And I'm not saying it doesn't look good on it doesn't look good on the model because of their size. I'm saying that the clothes weren't fit for that model appropriately. And so that's when you can kind of get the sense that like this brand isn't actually trying to achieve clothing that's inclusive for people that would want to buy this. They're just doing this to like, mark a box on a list. Yeah, so this just, I'll include this link, but it's saying, support the ones that are doing it right, push Fashion Week forward, normalize inclusion in the industry, depends on pushing forward those designers, build your own, which I think is important. That's what I think every creative person is doing, doing this through things like this podcast or starting your own show, like your own stand-up show or whatever it is, your own blog, your own Substack. Build your own runway. Create, whether you're creating content, launching a brand, or just showing up every day in your body, remember that you are the way to, shove it in their face just by continuing to create. And then, of course, keeping the conversation going by talking about it. So this article or blog post, it's not really an article, just, talked about why representation in bigger bodies, feels important. I pulled another article from a site called Glossy that I'm not going to read the whole thing. There was just one thing that jumped out at me. This is also from September of 2023. So this is from 2 years ago. But this was highlighting New York Fashion Week designers say casting for size inclusivity remains challenging. And so the one blurb here, the one part of this that I want to read is this is saying that, okay, so Omari is a designer, Gita Omari. And Gita Omari said she tried to cast earlier this season, but it was a struggle to find models since there are simply far fewer plus-size professional models represented by reputable agencies. Some estimates have put plus-size models around 5% of the total talent pool that fashion brands can draw from. The typical runway model is a size 0 or 2, while the average American woman is a size 16. Plus size fashion in the US has grown to be a nearly $300 billion industry. The models they can get are limited by who's represented by the big agencies. One designer who had a size inclusive show this season and asked not to be named said the agencies can be incredibly difficult to work with for shows featuring inclusive sizing. The designer cited an incident when an agency promised that a number of plus-size models would be available in time for a show, only to back out at the last second. Morgan Hermed Wachi, CEO of the underwear brand Adore Me, agreed that the talent pool for professional models in the plus-size space is limited. He said it's a cycle where brands don't cast plus-size models, so agencies don't represent them, reinforcing their omission from shows. And then it goes on to say that rather than rely on the agencies, Herman Wachi said that the reason for brands to seek this is a reason for brands to seek non-professional models. At the Adore Me show, the brand brought out a mix of professional models and non-professional models. So there's, you can also do that. But so I just wanted to read that section from this 2023 article about how difficult it is to actually get and find plus size models because they're not being represented by the agencies that a lot of designers are limited to cast from. So that's another aspect in why you may not be seeing more plus size women or models, not just women, on the runway. So, but there was one show that I loved that jumped out to me that I wanted to highlight here. And it is actually from a menswear brand. And I'm going to link this article that I'm about to read from another blog. And I will link the Instagram of the designer so that you can go there to see the clothes that were featured. But I thought that what I'm about to highlight is not something that every single brand needs to do. I understand, and I've talked about this before in shows past on this podcast, that I can't think of a brand, but like a high fashion designer brand doesn't necessarily need to make their brand more inclusive, right? There are plenty of women that fall within the standard size that are like, below a size 14, that, or maybe even that are in like a size 12, that don't fit into, high fashion brands that feature at New York Fashion Week. But what I am saying is that not every brand needs to be like that. And I don't know where to draw the line. I don't know if anybody needs to necessarily get a pass, but there are definitely brands that could cater more to the plus size customer, because the customer exists. And that's really all I can think about when I think about the amount of clothing companies that don't cater to this market. It baffles me as to why, because the money is there. It might be, I'm going to go into a whole tangent if I don't stop. And I would love to have someone on the show who is well versed in this, that could come on and talk more about this, to have a conversation and illuminate, even for me, why brands should be doing this, why they're not doing this. But there was one show that jumped out by a designer named Jack Sivan. Sivan, I'm probably getting that wrong, but it's very, very good. I very much enjoyed it. And so this blog just takes someone's critique of the show, because they so beautifully articulated a rundown of the show in a video. And so I will talk about that here. Okay. Savon Apparel's New York Fashion Week debut featured wonderfully diverse cast of models. Earlier this week, Savon Apparel made their New York Fashion Week debut. The show was filled with gorgeous designs and one of the most wonderfully diverse casts I've ever seen in a runway show. I didn't have the fortune to see it in person, but folks online have been posting videos highlighting the beautiful colors and even more stunning models. John Villa, who describes themselves as an art historian working in fashion, got to be present at the show and shared some of its highlights with us on social media. In the video he uploaded, which features different looks and models from the show, Villa provided his commentary. I went to a very gender fluid and very inclusive menswear show at New York Fashion Week, and I think you should know about it. This was Savon's debut at New York Fashion Week. The brand is by Jack Savon. It's made entirely in New York. They do custom work with an emphasis on sustainability, using a lot of natural textiles and dead stock fabrics, including a lot of patterns and textures that I think could blend seamlessly into an existing wardrobe while adding a little interest. Linen was definitely the star of the show. Yes, for spring 2026. It was tailored very thoughtfully with little twists on expected silhouettes. I'm thinking of Todd Schneider's really easy lived-in Sartorialism, just a little higher on the Kinsey scale. The clothes and the casting really emphasized the brand's approach to providing interesting wearable fashion to anyone who wants it. Very inclusive of different sizing and statures. Wheelchair users need well-made clothes too. And then he shows a picture of one of the models who's in a wheelchair, and highlights that this is Steve Serio. He's a Paralympic athlete with like 3 gold medals. Look at the crop on the linen jacket with the buttons and pull tab. I want one. I would also add to cart this little crop silk work jacket. He goes on to describe a lot of this, the clothing. I'm realizing I don't need to read his, account word for word. Looking up close, you can really appreciate the attention to unique considered details in this lineup. This monochromatic linen pleated ascot is absolutely delicious. This evening wear, I really enjoyed the liberal use of satin covered buttons, the high drama outerwear in unstuffy fabrics. Love the very technical slant on this formal look. Further proof that we should be wearing more capes in 2026. Well done to Savon and team. I really liked this collection. David Ross Lawn, a pianist, composer, and vocalist, as well as digital creator, was one of the runway models in Savant's apparel show and posted a great video highlighting the diverse cast of models. They described the experience on their Instagram. One of the most diverse New York Fashion Week shows this season. It was truly an honor to be a part of this magic. Savon is a sustainable menswear brand focused on the functionality and fun and on timeless rather than trends. On their website, they discuss their commitment to sustainability. And this is also what I really love about this brand. Savon believes sustainable design is inherent in good design. Responsibility in design, production, distribution, and eventual disposal is the future of the industry. It is essential. It's an emerging brand to build in as an emerging brand. It is essential as an emerging brand to build in an expectation of ethics as a brand cornerstone. Savon is dedicated to creating with thought, put into each garment's full life cycle, from material to fabrication, to use and reuse, and much further down the line, disposal. It believes that good design is sustainable design, that clothing should be conscious of the needs of the people that make and use it. Savon believes that a sustainable model is the only future of our industry, and approaches the challenge of that future with both its due seriousness and excitement. They also passionately discuss accessibility. Savon is dedicated to making the garments accessible, creating a transparent model, open about the components and people involved in each garment. It's committed to inclusive sizing for our customers to best find what suits them, and to doing all of the above without breaking the bank. The goal of making menswear sustainable and exciting is lessened if it's out of reach of the people who it's for. So loved this collection. Here are some of the looks that they had. The Jack Savon's pronouns are in his Instagram bio as he, him. So I feel okay referring to him as such. Apologies. I have dogs barking that the mic is most definitely picking up. Give me a moment here. Hold, please. Okay. All right. Knock it off. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Okay. Enough. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So yeah, this runway show, I don't know what all the barking is about, and I'm not cutting it out. This runway show was definitely inclusive. You can't, and inclusivity doesn't just mean plus size model, which there were, but there were also models that are, have different abilities, different, like there was a model featured in a wheelchair. There was a model that looks like they have some form of dwarfism. And these people exist in the world, and they deserve clothes that aren't from Shein. And even the clothes from Shein don't look, maybe don't work for the person that is in the wheelchair that's buying it. And so, having plus size models in fashion shows and represented in fashion in general goes beyond just fat people. It includes all different, includes different gender identities, and it includes people's accessibility levels. And so it's important that more brands like what Savon Apparel is doing are included in the conversation. And now I'm sounding like someone I don't even recognize, so we'll move on. But I will link the Instagram of Jack Savon in the description of the show. So I highly recommend going and checking it out so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. And that's really it. That's really what I had to talk about. Fashion and plus size fashion and inclusivity are all bound in one thing. And I hope that we see more of it in the coming days to come. Having said that, maybe we'll get raptured. All right, I'm gonna go. I'm in pain, and I don't think I have anything else to talk about. All right, I'll see you next week. Bye.